What's up, my Pineys? Welcome to the inaugural broadcast of the Piney Podcast. This is a new show I'm starting just for us Pineys and those in South Jersey who love the Pine Barrens and everything about South Jersey. So, for the first show, we're talking about what else? A forest fire in the Pine Barrens, because these happen every year and they seem to happen sooner and sooner. So here we are, the beginning of April, and we've already had a pretty decent sized fire. Okay, so where was it? It was in Penn State Forest, which for those of you who don't know, it would be the intersection of, I just looked at it, and if I figured it out, I'm showing you the map. Cabin Road and Sooy Road, which I guess is pronounced Soy. Soy Road. So it's the entire forest is only about 33,000 square acres and 11,000 square acres burned. So that was a full third of the acreage that burned. But there's always good news in that Penn State Forest is the home of the dwarf pines, or pygmy pines, whatever you want to call them. And they do thrive after a fire. So I guess, this has probably been happening for millions of years. And that's why the pines just got used to the fires. They said, we're not gonna stop the fires. We're just gonna evolve and get used to the fires and make it part of our ecosystem. So, it's not great that they caught on fire, but in this neck of the woods, it's probably par for the course. The upshot of that is once the underbrush burns off, it's not like you can burn it again. And it does help the dwarf pine, so it doesn't help. I'm sure it doesn't help the animals who lived there. I'm sure they had to run away. But they're animals, and I'm pretty confident that they could get out of an 11-acre fire before they were burned. I mean, deer run pretty fast. So. And it was good. The firemen got there and they got it under control relatively quickly. So no one got hurt. However, they did say that the fire was probably the result of someone starting a fire. Some human, not lightning. They said there was no lightning. And the place, that area does have like picnic areas and camping areas and fishing areas. So it is likely someone lit a campfire, or maybe they were doing a little barbecuing or whatever, and ignited the fire, which is a shame. I mean, that shouldn't happen. That's not part of the natural ecosystem. So if you are out camping, be sensible in the pines, because they can go up like that sometimes, especially when the humidity's low. And which seems to be rare in South Jersey, but it does get low and the fire needle goes up, and that's when you should probably not be having a barbecue. Or if you're gonna have a fire, then you got to be very careful about it. You got to clear away any potential fuel for the fire and make sure there's nothing above you. That's one that I don't think people get when they go camping. They go camping and they forget, hey, there's trees above me. The sparks are going up. You could set the trees above you on fire if you're not careful. I mean, it can get pretty dry even up in a tree. And pine needles, they go up like that. If they're all dead, a couple of dead branches above you, you may not see them. They may be way up there. Spark goes up there, boom, whole tree. So, make sure if you got to light a fire that you keep it under control. Now, personally, I do like campfires, but if I'm in the woods and I need something controlled, if I'm doing something for food, there's always the little whatchamacallit, the little, you know what I'm talking about, the little cans. What the hell are they called now? The Sterno cans. Use them. You set them up in a little campfire oven situation. That way you don't have the sparks going up, because you throw leaves or pine needles on, and you're just going to get little sparks everywhere. So you don't want that in the dry time of year. But who knew that early April would be so dry that we could have a forest fire. And for a little background on Penn State, I thought it was weird that it was called Penn State Forest, because I just thought like Nittany Lions immediately, but it has nothing to do with that. It was originally called like Penn Place, and it was an area that the Lenni Lenape lived in, and then it was bought in 1910, and then turned into more conservation land sometime in the 30s. If you go on Wikipedia, it's all there. And it is important to the ecosystem. We don't want the forest to burn down. So be careful out there, Pineys. I don't have to tell you, if you're a Piney, you live in the pines, you know the deal. One of the big problems out in California, where they seem to be constantly having fires, is underbrush. So if you live deep in the pines, if you got a house that's in an area with a lot of trees, you got to clear your underbrush. It's very important that you clear it. It's going to cut down on fires and fuel for fires, and God forbid there is a forest fire where you live. If you've already cut down the underbrush, it's going to cut your chances of the fire sweeping in. I got to tell you one thing too. I saw this great picture of a guy's house, and he had to evacuate because it was a big California fire. But before he left, he turned on all his sprinklers, which you're not supposed to do. He turned them all on. He put sprinklers on his house, turned on all the hoses, and just left. And when he got back, he took a picture of his house. And guess what? Everywhere the sprinklers were running was fine. So like his whole house was fine, and most of his lawn. So I don't know why they haven't invented, well, I guess they have the technology, and technically they have invented, but I don't know why they tell people to not do that, because especially in California, where they seem to fight the fires by dumping water from planes and sending in guys with axes. They don't have, I don't know what that's going to do. If your house is in the middle of the woods, it's not like they're dependent upon the water from your house to fight the fire. So I don't understand why that would lower the water pressure so much that would make a difference. It seemed to not make a difference in this guy's house, because he saved his house. I mean, that's what I would do, God forbid. I'm not close enough to the pines, though. I'm not in the woods. I am more pines adjacent these days, but I did live down there. And even when I lived down there, I was in Blue Anchor, which is more pine. It's right at the edge of the pines. Like, we weren't in the woods. We're on a farm. Although we had woods. So I guess we had Pine Barrens right there. But, So, basically, Pineys, watch your campfires out there, because we don't need to burn any more of the Pine Barrens. We need some trees, and we got a lot of rare fauna and flora. So if you're going to have a campfire, be smart about it. Check the situation for forest fires. If it's really bad, don't even light the damn thing. Light nothing. And, I know that sucks if you're going camping, but do you want to have a nice camping experience, or do you want to run from the forest as it burns to the ground? I mean, that's the choices. I mean, especially in the summer when you're talking, it's really dried out. You should not be lighting a fire, and it's probably going to be hot anyway. So why do you want to sit around the fire? I got a chimenea. Those are great, and that keeps the sparks going straight up, and I keep it again away from there's no trees above it. That's the key. All right, this has been the first Piney Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to try to do more. I'm going to try to do some more topics. If you have a suggestion for a good Piney related topic, please put it in the suggestion comment section there in YouTube. Smash like, as PewDiePie would say, and we'll see you next time.